You open your phone, and everything looks perfect. Everyone seems happy. Everyone seems busy doing something meaningful. But somewhere in the back of your mind, something feels off. You cannot explain it exactly. It is not one thing. It is more like a feeling that sits just beneath the surface, like watching a movie that is almost real, but not quite. And the strange part is, you keep scrolling anyway. Think about the last time you saw a photo of someone's dinner. It looked beautiful, perfectly lit, perfectly arranged. You liked it without thinking. But did you actually feel anything? Or think about a video where someone cries on camera. Millions of people watched. Millions of people felt something. But 3 days later, nobody remembers it. And that person posted again like nothing happened. But something about all of this feels different from how things used to be. But it is hard to say exactly what changed. And that gap between what you see and what you feel, that is actually where this whole story begins. Let us start with something simple. You wake up and check your phone before you even speak to anyone. Most people do this now. It is the first thing. Not coffee, not a window, a screen. You scroll for a few minutes, maybe longer. You see someone's workout. You see someone's vacation. You see someone's opinion about something that happened last night. You absorb all of it. And then you put the phone down. But something about it feels different. You feel full, but also somehow empty. Like you ate but did not taste anything. Later in the day, you are sitting with a friend. You are both on your phones. Not together, just near each other. And somehow that feels normal now. You text someone who is in the same building as you. You watch a stranger's life in 30-second clips. You feel closer to someone you have never met than to people you see every day. At night, you scroll past the point of tiredness. Your body wants to sleep. But something keeps pulling you forward. One more video. One more post. One more comment to read. And this is where things get interesting. Because none of this feels like a choice exactly. It just happens. Now here is the part most people never stop to notice. All of these small moments are connected. The empty feeling after scrolling. The weird distance with people you actually know. The late night pull of the screen. These are not separate habits. They are all pointing at the same thing. But what that thing is, gents, we are going to get to that. First, let us look more closely at what online Shanaoi actually feels like these days. When you go on social media, you see a version of life. And that version is very specific. It is always moving. It is always producing something. It is always performing. People are launching things. People are healing in public. People are sharing their worst moments with a ring light on. People are announcing, celebrating, explaining, reacting. Always something. And because you see so much of it, it starts to feel like that is just what life looks like now. But that is not the strange part. The strange part is that even the people posting it do not fully believe it either. There was a shift that happened gradually. At first, social media was about sharing. You posted a photo because something happened. A birthday, a trip, at a random moment that felt worth keeping. And people responded. And it felt good. It felt like a real exchange, like showing someone a photo from your camera roll. But slowly something changed. The platform started rewarding certain things, certain formats, certain emotions, certain kinds of reactions. And people noticed. Not consciously at first, but they noticed. They noticed that showing pain got more engagement than showing joy. They noticed that controversy spread faster than sincerity. They noticed that looking like you had the answer was more popular than admitting you were lost. And so slowly, without any single decision, everyone started adjusting. Not lying exactly, but performing, shaping, editing life down to the version that worked best on screen. And this is where things get interesting. Get that? Because once everyone starts doing that, something happens to the whole environment. When everything you see has been shaped for reaction, your brain starts treating all of it as performance, even the things that are meant to be real. You watch someone share something deeply personal, and part of you genuinely feels for them. But another part of you is scanning, waiting for the catch, wondering what the angle is. This is not because you are cynical. It is because your brain has been trained by the environment. You have seen enough curated vulnerability to know the pattern, the hesitation, the soft music, the caption that ends with a question to drive comments. And once you have seen the structure, you cannot unsee it. But something else is happening here, something bigger. This is not just about social media feeling fake, yet this is about what happens to trust when everything is optimized. Think about advertising for a second. For most of human history, you knew when you were being sold something. A market stall, a TV commercial, a sign on the road. The selling was visible. But now the line is blurred. Your friend recommending a product might be getting paid to do it. The article you are reading might be funded by the brand it is praising. The creator you trust most might have a deal you do not know about. None of this is hidden exactly, but it is not obvious either. And your brain has to do extra work now. Every time you consume something, some part of you is asking a question it never used to have to ask. Is this real, or is this a play? And that question, over thousands of interactions a day, starts to wear something down. But that is not the strange part. The strange part is what you do with that exhaustion. You keep going. You keep scrolling. Because even though it feels hollow, stopping feels worse somehow. And this brings us to the actual system underneath all of this. The thing that most people sense but never quite name. Your attention is the product, not you, not your data exactly. Your attention. Every platform you use was built to keep your eyes moving. Not because anyone hates you, but because time on screen is how these systems make money. And the longer you stay, the more you see. The more you see, the more you compare. The more you compare, the more you feel something. And what you feel does not have to be good. It just has to be strong enough to keep you there. So the systems learned what works. Outrage works. Envy works. Anxiety works. The fear of missing something works. And they optimized for all of it. Not with a meeting, not with an evil plan, just with data. Just by watching what kept people scrolling and doing more of that. This is where things get interesting. Because the result was never planned. Nobody designed this feeling of fakeness. Nobody decided that everything should feel hollow. It emerged out of billions of small optimizations, each one tiny, each one reasonable. Together creating something that nobody chose. A world where everything is technically visible, but almost nothing feels true. And now, let us bring this back to you. Not as a warning, just as a quiet observation. You live inside this system every day. Your mood is shaped by things you barely notice. The first video you watch in the morning sets a tone. The comparison you make at noon lingers longer than you think. The content you consume before sleep is still running when you close your eyes. And none of it feels dramatic. That is the thing. It is not a crisis. It is just a low hum, a version of life that is always on, always producing, always asking you to react. And somewhere in there, your own sense of what is real starts to get a little fuzzy. You post something, and then you wait. And the waiting feels like it matters more than the moment itself. You have an experience, and you think about how you would describe it online, before it is even over. You feel something genuine, and the first impulse is to capture it, not to sit in it, but to save it, to share it, to see what it becomes. And that is not vanity. That is what the environment trained you to do. Yet the loop is seamless now. Experience, capture, share, wait, react, repeat. So seamless that stepping outside it feels strange, like sitting in silence and not knowing what to do with your hands. But here is something worth sitting with. The feeling that everything is fake online might actually be a signal, not a malfunction, a signal, because you are not wrong. A lot of it is performed. A lot of it is shaped. A lot of it is optimized to make you feel something before you can think. And the fact that you feel the gap, the space between what you see and what is real, means part of you is still tracking the difference. Most animals stop noticing the cage after a while. The fact that something in you still notices is not nothing. Think about the moments that have felt the most real to you lately. Not online, but just in your life. A conversation that went longer than you expected. A walk where you forgot to check your phone. A moment of actual boredom that turned into something else. Notice anything about those moments? They were probably slow. They probably did not produce anything. You did not post about them. Or if you did, the post did not quite capture it. That gap, between the moment and the post, between the feeling and the caption, between what happened and what got shared. That gap is where the real thing lives, and we are spending less and less time there, not because we do not want to, but because the pull away from it is so constant, so frictionless, so perfectly tuned to the exact rhythm of impatience, that staying in the moment feels almost like resistance. Nobody talks about how much energy that takes. Just to be somewhere without performing it. Just to feel something without immediately thinking about how to describe it. And this is where things get interesting one last time. We started with a simple feeling that something online feels off, that the images are too perfect, that the emotion is too easy, that the people seem familiar but not quite real. And what we have been circling the whole time is that this feeling is correct. Not because the people are fake. Most of them are real people doing the best they can inside a system that rewards performance. But the system itself was never designed to show you truth. It was designed to hold your attention. And those two things are very different goals. Truth is often slow, often boring, often contradictory, often uncomfortable. Attention is captured by things that feel immediately important. Things that make you react before you think. Things that confirm or threaten something you already believe. And when the entire information environment is built around attention, truth becomes a harder thing to hold. So you are left with this, a world that is more connected than any world that has ever existed, more visible, more documented, more shared, and also somehow harder to trust, harder to feel inside of, harder to know what is real. Not because reality disappeared, but because the layer between you and reality got very, very thick. And somewhere underneath all the content, underneath all the performance and the optimization and the perfectly timed emotional reveals, life is still happening, quietly, without a caption. What, without waiting to see how many people respond? You felt something real today. Maybe you noticed it. Maybe you did not. But it was there. And that, in a world built to keep you scrolling, is actually worth something.